Imagine waking up one morning and finding out that the sport billions of people love, the sport played in every country on Earth, was secretly being run like a criminal organization. That's exactly what happened in May 2015, when the FBI dropped a bombshell that nobody saw coming. Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button, because we cover some of the most insane true stories you'll ever hear. Today, we're diving deep into one of the biggest corruption scandals in the history of sports, the 2015 FIFA Corruption Scandal. We're talking about secret bribes, offshore bank accounts, Swiss hotel raids at 6 a.m., and over $150 million in dirty money changing hands behind closed doors. This isn't just a soccer story. This is a story about power, greed, betrayal, and how one of the most powerful sports organizations in the world, FIFA, got caught running what the U.S. Department of Justice literally called a World Cup of fraud. So buckle up, because this story is absolutely wild from start to finish. What is FIFA? Before we get into the scandal, you need to understand just how powerful FIFA is. FIFA, the Fédération Internationale de Football Association, is the global governing body of soccer. Founded in 1904 in Paris, it controls the sport that over 4 billion people around the world watch and love. That's more than half the planet. FIFA organizes the FIFA World Cup, which is the single most watched sporting event in human history. The 2022 World Cup in Qatar was watched by over 5 billion people across the tournament. For context, the Super Bowl gets around 100 million viewers. The World Cup isn't even in the same universe. And with that kind of global attention comes insane amounts of money. TV rights, sponsorships, broadcasting deals, merchandise. FIFA generates billions of dollars every 4 years. The 2018 World Cup alone generated over $6 billion in revenue for FIFA. Now imagine having control over that money, those contracts, and those decisions, and nobody's really watching you closely. That's the environment where corruption doesn't just happen. It thrives. It thrives. The corruption, how it all started. The corruption inside FIFA didn't start in 2015. That's when it got exposed. But the rot had been building for decades. It goes back to the 1990s and really accelerated under Sepp Blatter, who became FIFA president in 1998. Blatter, the Swiss sports administrator, would go on to run FIFA for 17 years. And during that time, insiders say the organization became increasingly secretive, increasingly powerful, and increasingly corrupt. Here's how the corruption basically worked. FIFA and its regional confederations like CONCACAF, which covers North and Central America and the Caribbean and Cannibal South America, controlled massive commercial rights. Things like who gets to broadcast World Cup games, who gets the sponsorship deals, which country hosts the World Cup. These decisions were worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And corrupt officials figured out that if you control the vote or the contract, you can demand a cut of a bribe in exchange for your yes. These payments were called bribes in court documents, but the insiders called them something more polished: sports marketing rights fees, or consultancy payments. It was financial camouflage for straight-up corruption. The money flowed through shell companies, offshore bank accounts in places like the Cayman Islands, wire transfers through U.S. banks, and fake invoices. It was a sophisticated, globe-spanning financial crime operation, and it went on for over 25 years. The FBI gets involved. The investigation begins. Here's where things get really interesting. You might be wondering, why would the FBI get involved in international soccer corruption? FIFA is based in Switzerland. Most of the corruption happened in other countries. What does America have to do with it? The answer is wire fraud and U.S. banks. Because many of the corrupt wire transfers passed through American banks, particularly banks in New York, the U.S. Department of Justice had jurisdiction. Under U.S. law, if you use American banks or financial systems to commit fraud, you can be prosecuted in America. It didn't matter where you lived or where FIFA was headquartered. The FBI, working alongside the IRS Criminal Investigation Division, began building their case quietly over several years. They flipped informants. They traced wire transfers. They documented offshore accounts. The investigation was codenamed and kept airtight. One of the key figures who helped investigators was Chuck Blazer, an American soccer official who had served as the general secretary of CONCACAF. Blazer was a colorful, flamboyant character, known for renting an apartment just for his cats in Trump Tower in New York City. Seriously? Erta. Wah. Seriously. Blazer had been secretly taking bribes for years, but in 2013, the FBI approached him. They showed him what they had on him. Facing the possibility of serious prison time, Blazer agreed to become an FBI informant. He wore a wire to FIFA events. He secretly recorded conversations. He gave the FBI an insider view of the corruption machine. Blazer himself pleaded guilty to racketeering, wire fraud, tax evasion, and money laundering, 10 criminal charges in total. His cooperation was a massive breakthrough for the investigation. The Zurich raids, May 27, 2015. Now we get to the moment that shocked the world. It's 5:30 a.m. on May 27, 2015. Swiss authorities, working at the request of the U.S., the Department of Justice, stormed into the Borolac Hotel in Zurich, Switzerland. This is one of the most luxurious hotels in the world. FIFA officials are there for their annual congress. Swiss police in plainclothes move quietly through the hotel, going floor by floor, room by room. They knock on doors. Half asleep FIFA officials open them and get arrested. 7 FIFA officials were arrested in those early morning raids, including Jeffrey Webb, CONCACAF president, and FIFA vice president. Jack Warner, former CONCACAF president, already under investigation. Eugenio Figueroa, former CONMEBOL president. Eduardo Lee, Costa Rican Football Federation president, and others. The images of executives in suits being led out of a 5-star Swiss hotel were broadcast around the world. It was surreal. People couldn't believe what they were seeing. This same day, back in the United States, the U.S. Department of Justice unsealed a massive indictment. The charges: racketeering, wire fraud, and money laundering, 47 counts in total. The indicted individuals included 14 defendants, current and former FIFA officials and sports marketing executives. U.S. Attorney General Loretta Lynch held a press conference and delivered a line that became iconic. The indictment alleges corruption that is rampant, systemic, and deep. She wasn't wrong. The scale of the corruption, what they were actually doing. Let's break down exactly what these officials were accused of doing, because the details are just 1. World Cup hosting bribes. The indictment alleged that bribes were paid in connection with votes for World Cup hosting rights. Specifically, there were allegations around the 1998, 2010, and other World Cup hosting selections. Officials were allegedly paid millions in exchange for their votes. 2. The CONCACAF Gold Cup and Copa America deals. Sports marketing companies paid bribes to CONCACAF and officials in exchange for the broadcasting and marketing rights to major tournaments like the CONCACAF Gold Cup and Copa America. These were worth hundreds of millions of dollars. The bribe payments, sometimes in cash, sometimes through wire transfers to offshore accounts, were the kickbacks that corrupt officials demanded. 3. The money trail. Court documents revealed how the money moved. Payments went through shell companies in the British Virgin Islands, Cayman Islands, and Panama. Swiss bank accounts. Wire transfers through U.S. correspondent banks in New York. Cash payments delivered in bags. Yes, literal bags of cash. One of the most stunning examples. Jack Warner, one of the most powerful soccer officials in the world for decades, allegedly received over $10 million in bribes related to South Africa's 2010 World Cup bid. The money reportedly moved through accounts in Trinidad and Tobago and the United States. 4. The total amount. The DOJ alleged that over $150 million in bribes had been paid over a span of more than 24 years. By the time all the cases were concluded, that number climbed even higher. But this scandal didn't end here. The FIFA corruption case was much bigger than anyone expected. More powerful names were about to be exposed. And when the investigation went deeper, it shook the entire world of football. Part 2 will reveal the full truth. This was Part 1. Part 2, coming soon. If you found this video informative, do me a solid and hit the like button. It genuinely helps this channel more than you know. And if you want more deep dives into history's biggest scandals, subscribe because we've got a ton more coming. Until next time, stay curious, stay sharp, and I'll see you in the next one.